Hello, and welcome to this chat about one of Google's tools that spans both editorial and commercial tools, News Consumer Insights. I am Ashley Edwards, the U.S. Partnerships Manager in the Google News Lab, and my day-to-day job sees me working on partnerships to improve digital journalism and combat misinformation. Today, we are going to look at a tool to help newsrooms understand who their readers are. Joining me is Antal Diaz from the News Consumer Insights team.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Ashley, for having me. It's great to be here.
Thank you, Antal. So let's just get right into it. Can you tell us what are NCI and RCI?
Sure. So NCI and RCI, it stands for News Consumer Insights. That's NCI, and Real Time Content Insights. That's RCI. And essentially, those are the tools that we've launched a few years ago through the Google News initiatives. They are free data tools to use for news organizations and for news organizations exclusively for them to make the most of the insights and the data that they need to improve whatever they're trying to improve, whatever that's business objective or reader engagement objective, making your readers come back and making your readers stay longer on your site. So right now on my screen and on the screen on my left, you are seeing our external page where you will find all of our data tools. For example, the first one is News Consumer Insights, and here is Real-Time Content Insights. So I would like to show you a little bit how those tools work for you to have an introduction and to make the most of it as you start exploring them. So the first thing you need to do, and we'll share the URL, the URL of this website a bit later in the stream. So first step is click on Try It Now. As you click on this button, you will land on the News Consumer Insight. For those of you like me who are not English native speakers, you can change the language here on the right. Otherwise, the first thing you need to do is click on this blue button here, which essentially will allow you to connect your Google Analytics account free. Our tools work with the free version. You don't need to pay Google Analytics to use our tools. So as soon as you click on this blue button, the tool will connect to your Google Analytics account and refresh with your specific data to show you insights and recommendations. Something that I'd like to clarify and to say up front is that when you allow the tool to connect to your Google Analytics account, you're not sharing anything with me, my team, or with Google. It's for you and for you only. When you stop using the tool, when you close the window, everything is deleted. Now, there's a lot of things in News Consumer Insights, so I'm gonna keep it very short and let you explore on your own. But essentially, once you've connected your Google Analytics account, and let's assume this is my account, for example, I'm looking at demo data, you can see the first page is called Your Actionable Recommendations. There's actually 4 pages in News Consumer Insights. We have reader engagement, we have reader revenue, and video insights. But right now, in the sake of time, I just want to focus on the main page, Your Actionable Recommendation, to show you what the tool is doing with a Google Analytics account. So the first thing the tool is doing is applying a segmentation to your audience. Excuse me. So we're going to split your audience in 3, right? So we're going to look at the last 30 days, and we're going to see from those last 30 days, how many users came once and only once to your websites. Those are what we called casual readers. How many users came at least twice across the last 30 days? Those are what we called your loyal readers. And finally, who are the users who came at least 15 times across the last 30 days? Those are what we call brand lovers. And essentially what the tool is saying is that I have 80% of my readers that are Casual readers, they came one time and only one time. 90% of my readers are loyal readers. They came at least twice. And only 1% of my readers are brand lovers, those who came at least 15 times. Now, I know there's a lot of things happening on the screen, but we can focus on the card on the left, which is here to help us digest whatever this table is trying to say. So let's read it together. Your loyal readers and brand lovers represent 20% of your audience, so 19 plus 1, right? 20% of my audience, this is my data. They drive 80% of the page views and 85% of the ad revenue. So essentially, the punchline here, the conclusion is that on my site, and maybe it's true for you too, so you should definitely connect your account, Google Analytics account, to News Consumer Insights. But at least on my site, a small chunk of my audience, 20%, is driving most of the value, if not all of the value, which is another way of saying that 80% of my readers are not doing much for me. They're not bringing much value. So the question here becomes, what do we do? And more importantly, how can I transform casual readers into loyal readers and brand lovers? And the answer, of course, to that question is yes, which is why this page is called Your Actionable Recommendations. I'm going to scroll down and you'll see I have 8 recommendations to help me or to help you improve reader engagement. So those are recommendations that are going to allow me to grow visits, right? To get those users to come back and to get longer visits when those users arrive on my page for them to consume more content. That's one way and one key way to transform casual readers into loyal readers and loyal readers into brand lovers. Now, where is that 8 coming from? As soon as you connect your Google Analytics account, we have a decision engine in the background, and the decision engine is doing a diagnostic of whatever is going on your site. Based on the conclusion of that diagnostic, the decision engine will populate 8, 6, 5, 4, 3 recommendations. Those are completely personalized. So as you connect your account, you might see way less than 8 based on how you're doing. The idea is to transform your data into things that you can do today, once again, to improve engagement. And you can see if I continue scrolling down, I even have recommendations to drive reader revenue, subscriptions, contributions, or donations. Now, I'm not going to go through all of those recommendations. I just want to show you one just to illustrate how the tool works. For example, you can see here, the first recommendation is called Your Newsletter Traffic is Low. Under you need more visits, right? Why is that here? Essentially because users who subscribe to your newsletters and end up coming to your site through newsletters are the ones who typically on average across the industry have the higher visit frequency. So they visit, the number of visits is higher than any other traffic source. Also, when they arrive on the site, they have the higher visit time. So compared to other traffic sources, when they come to your site, they're the ones who are most likely to stay and read more content. And if you're trying to sell anything like a subscription, a contribution, or a donation, they're the ones who are most likely to subscribe, contribute, or donate, which is why getting users to subscribe to your newsletters is so important. So what the tool has done here is identify or conclude that on this website, the newsletter traffic is low. So that's not something that needs to be addressed. That's something that needs to be optimized. And of course, that's more of a conclusion than a recommendation. The recommendation appears when I click on it. So if I click on it, you'll be able to see visually what you need on every single article. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 points, focus areas that you should be aware of as you make those changes on your website. And I can assure you, if you follow those steps and that implementation, you will grow your newsletter traffic, you will grow your engagement. So I'll stop here for News Consumer Insight, but it's essentially the same logic with every single recommendation. For the most curious of you or the ones who want to go deeper, That's why we have the other pages, right? On reader engagement, where you'll be able to see more details about your audience. And essentially, you'll be able to see how the decision engine landed on the recommendations that were populated, right? But for those who are short on time, my strong recommendation is to focus on the first page, and that's why it's the first page. So that's news consumer insights. I'm going to show you real-time content insight also quickly. So this is real-time content insights, and here we're facing a tool that is more oriented towards journalists and newsroom. What we wanted to address with real-time content insights, or RCI, was the ability for newsroom to capture real-time data about content performance, right? Essentially, said in a less clumsy way, answer the question: how is my content doing right now? I've just published 7 articles. Who's reading what, and where are those readers coming from? We know it can be a bit daunting in Google Analytics to get that data, which is why we created this tool. Once again, it's completely free, and it works exactly the same as News Consumer Insight. You click on this button here, it will allow you to connect your Google Analytics account. Same thing as News Consumer Insights. Free account is fine, and when you connect your data, you're not sharing anything with me, with Google, or with the team. Everything is deleted when you close the window. So what I want to show you, and let's assume this is my data, right? We're looking at demo data. So what am I seeing? I'm seeing first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 articles. So at this precise moment on my site, if this is my data, this is the most performing article, and you can see it here. It has 300 real-time readers, right? And you can compare it to the second article with this one, Why You Never See School, that actually works. It's 123 real-time readers. And that's the third story, 38 real-time readers, the fourth 38 too, and the fifth 35, right? So what we do is we capture the title of the article, and we capture the image to make it a bit more visually appealing. Now I can actually launch this into full screen, and now we're capturing all of the top 10 articles that are trending or performing really well in real time, and this is updating automatically every 3 minutes, right? So if you leave this up, you'll be able to see throughout the day how your content is doing. Now, of course, this is pretty light on data. If you scroll down, you'll be able to see exactly the same information. You can see first article, adult education comes of age, is the one here. And if I click on this table, I'll be able to get more information regarding the top geographies for that story, the top referral sources, to be able to understand, well, maybe this story is performing really well on Twitter, and I might want to do something on Facebook or whatever social network is relevant in your region to improve the performance and distribution of said story. There's way more information as well, but I just want to focus on some other visual icons. We are all about trying to add actionability on data. And for example, you might have noticed that those icons here, they kind of change per story. So for example, here it's an L, just like here, and here it's a C. Right, so what is that indicating? It's indicating that beyond the fact that it's 300 real-time readers, the vast majority of them here are loyal, right? Back to News Consumer Insight. Those are the ones who actually come a bit more often. It's a small chunk of my audience. So this is clearly a story that's impacting my core audience, while this story is being read primarily by casual readers, potentially new readers. And what we're trying to introduce here within content performance analysis is this idea of that not all content is the same. Some stories might be better used to attract new readers, and other type of stories are there to increase loyalty, right? To go right after what the core audience is really interested about. So that's what this icon is indicating. And finally, you can see the last one. I'm going to use the last one. Here it's red, here it's green, and here on the rest of the stories is green. So this is indicating the speed of that story, right? The latency of that story. And of course, if it's red, there's probably something wrong. What this icon is saying is that that story compared to the rest of the website and the other stories that I've published, it's actually slower. So it might not be performing as well as it could because there might be an image that's too heavy or something that's going on that story that makes it slower, and that has an impact on engagement. So there might be something that I want to focus on here to improve that. In the interest of time, I'm not going to cover everything, but I really recommend, since it's free and there's no obligation to do anything, to check it out for yourself, connect your data, and see if it makes sense for you, because we've built it specifically, once again, and exclusively for news organizations.
So Anton, before we wrap up, are there any new features with both NCI and RCI you can talk a little bit about?
Yes, thanks. We actually went a few steps beyond regarding those two tools. We wanted to make it easier in both cases. So I'm going to go back to the tool page, right? So News Consumer Insight was the one that I showed you. And if you remember, what I was showing you a recommendation, you saw a static image. And what we realized is that for many news organizations, that image was actually worth more than the data. We realized that publishers wanted to see what does it look like, in real life on a real website. So we've built what we call the News Consumer Insights demo site, or the NCI demo site. And I'm going to show it to you very quickly. Same thing, you just need to click here. It looks like this. You'll be welcomed by this page. You can do a tour guide, a guided tour with this right button. I'm just going to click on the left, and you'll be able to see what we've built. What you're seeing is essentially the template of a news site, right? So this is meant to look like a news site, but you'll notice that the text, is dummy text. It doesn't really mean anything. It's lorem ipsum. But what we wanted to reproduce was, on most news sites, we have a navigation bar, we have a main featured image, and there is an ad at some point, right? So this is where you start the journey, but at the bottom, those are buttons that will allow you to modify this website in real time. So I'm going to go exactly with the same example. We talked about newsletter signups. So if I click on reader engagement recommendation, you'll be able to see the News Consumer Insight recommendations for newsletter signups, and it's off. So I'm going to turn it on. And as I turn it on, essentially the website is going to evolve, if I can use that word, or at least be modified in real time, and always with context, explanation, and even more example. If I click on next, I'll be able to see other implementation. I'm just going to keep on this one. And you can see it stays, right? Same website. And now I have a newsletter sign up widget within my content, following all of the best practices that we've highlighted in News Consumer Insights. You can see here, I can switch to mobile as well, right? So same thing. The newsletter sign-up widget is within the content. And for those who are more interested in the reader revenue side of things, it's the same logic. The button on the right will allow you to show all of the recommendations that we have in News Consumer Insight and see them live. So typically, that one is probably my favorite because it's probably the one that has the most amount of impact if you're trying to grow subscription. That's a classic design of many subscription pages. So if you click on optimize for conversions, you're going to see how this 2-panel subscription page transforms into what we believe is a best practice example, right? So suddenly we have free packages, there's images, there's values, the emotional bond. There's a lot of things that I won't have time to cover that you should be looking at and following if you want to grow subscriptions. And that's essentially it. It's really more of a playground almost for you to modify in real time a website and to be able to see, does that make sense or not on your own, right? Based on the recommendation and what needs to be modified. So we hope that it can become almost a conversation or discussion, a federator between you and your internal teams to make all of those changes happen. So that's the first tool, News Consumer Insights demo site, I'm going to go back to the page, to the data tools page, and I'm going to show you the last one, which is the real-time content insights Chrome extension. I apologize, we could do something about shortening our names. That's a tough one to pronounce. The RCI Chrome extension. And this one answers what we've heard as well from many news organizations, which is they really liked real-time content insight, but that usually within their workflows and work process on a daily basis as a journalist, it pushes you to, go to another tool and check it out. And we realized that wasn't necessarily the most comfortable experience. So we spent a lot of time thinking, how do we make all of that data just part of the normal working flow? So same idea. I'm going to click on try it now. Unfortunately for this one, I'm going to have to show you low resolution images. So apologies for this because it's a Chrome extension. I'm going to try to zoom in here. But as a Chrome extension, what you'll be able to do, let me zoom in, there you go, is load this panel, right? You'll connect your Google Analytics account. And as you are navigating on your website, you'll be able to see the real-time data for the page that you're looking at. Of course, assuming that you have access to the Google Analytics account, right? So if you go to your website and you have Google Analytics access, you'll be able to see your own data. If you go to another website, the extension you will say you don't have access to that Google Analytics account. So as you go from one article to another, you'll be able to see, and apologies, it's a bit small, all of the key data for said page, the amount of real-time readers, how is that page doing compared to the rest, what are the top geographies, is it more mobile, more desktop, what are the top referral sources. We also added, it's going to look even smaller, for journalists, the ability to save articles. So let's say today I've published 3 articles on our website. I can actually bookmark those within the extension to keep an eye on them if I want to and need to throughout the day and see how they're evolving compared to the website, but also comparing them to each other. What we really wanted to achieve with this is trying to reduce a bit of friction, right? For you not to have to go to real-time content insights, but to make the most of real-time data as you browse your own website and in your browser, of course. I know in that screenshot, it kind of looks like it takes a big chunk of your screen, but just clicking on the main navigation bar, this minimizes and you can see icon with the key data. So don't worry too much about that. And just like the rest of our tools, completely free. The only thing you need is a free Google Analytics account.
Well, this is great. Thank you so much for joining us today, Antao. And for more information on everything we talked about today and the full suite of news consumer insight tools, just click the little button in the top right-hand corner and follow the link.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.